there were some issues here. Watch the 20 and the 15 leaving here.
I'm trying to think really why Tony's mad at the 15-car Paul Menard right now. Menard beat him out. Pretty fair and square. And he's hitting him again right now. Bam, another time. Hey, don't, you know, these guys are getting frustrated. The chase for the championship is already starting to heat up right now. Hey, Tony's not done with him right yet. Let's get in here and, oh my gosh, give him another whack right there. Oh. Now, why he would tear his own car up, I have no idea.
Alan?
You know, we talked about the tight confines down here on pit road, guys, and Paul Menard is pitted in the spot in front of Tony Stewart. Well, Paul, trying to be cautious and not run over a couple of his crew guys, didn't pull all the way up in his pit box, so Tony, who came in ahead of Paul, had to back up and go around him, and that's when you saw Menard pull out of his pit box and jump out in front of Tony. So Tony was a little upset that he had to stop and back up when he should have been ahead of, you know, how all that works, Rusty.
This seems like it was a bit over the line, and solely because it was pointless. Paul Menard pulled out of his pit stall right in front of Tony Stewart, and Tony Stewart would get angry with Paul Menard, hitting him in the rear on pit road, and then after, he would continue under caution to show his displeasure with Paul Menard by getting beside him, pointing at him, and even hitting his fender. This seems just so petty and stupid. I don't understand what the point of how angry Tony Stewart was.
He basically just dumped him. Certainly could have been avoided, no doubt about that.
That is Brad walking directly toward Kyle Busch's pit.
Guys, use your head. Don't be silly. We don't drive the car. We just work on it. Be smart.
These two drivers have definitely had a history in NASCAR, and it's because they don't like each other. No matter where you are on the racetrack, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski will probably be racing very hard. And this is what happened in 2013 at Kansas in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch would turn Brad Keselowski for no apparent reason, and Keselowski was out of the race. Keselowski was extremely upset at what happened, and he would walk down to Kyle Busch's pit crew, slap his butt, point, and walk away. He would then be escorted to the NASCAR hauler.
He can't do it in 1 and 2. Logano looks back. He has a car link now. Joey Logano through 3 and 4 for the final time. There's the contact. He does get to him. The 11 on the inside. He gets into the wall. Dillon's going to win it at the line.
Apparently he can come from 5 car lengths back and completely wreck someone and then wreck another one to the line, and we're going to call that racing. It's cool. And he just pulls a chicken shit move. He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career. And now he's going to be in the playoffs, and good for him, I guess.
Joey Logano was rightfully upset after the Richmond race in 2024. Austin Dillon had dominated the end of that race, but Logano was able to beat him on the restart. Logano was easily going to win this race up until Austin Dillon sent it into turn 3 like we've never seen before. He would get into the back of the 22 and then intentionally wreck the 11 to pick up the win. We all thought Austin Dillon would win the race and be able to be locked in the playoffs, but NASCAR actually suspended the win from Austin Dillon and said, "You're not allowed to be in the playoffs after that move." Also, something that went over the line was after the race, Joey Logano wanted to show his displeasure to Austin Dillon's pit crew members, and I don't think he realized that Austin Dillon's family members and a NASCAR official were standing right there. Logano would do a burnout full speed right at Austin Dillon's pit crew and his family. This NASCAR official would run down to Logano and yell at him, and rightfully so. This was extremely dangerous and something that Logano should have not done.
Messi trying to avoid going a lap down. He is on the. There he goes. He is 1 lap down, trying to avoid going 2 laps down.
Bessie gets into the wall.
Yeah, Earnhardt got just same thing a while ago with Dillon. He got tired of waiting for him to get out of the way, so he just helps him a little bit.
We have the black flag out. Let's watch. Here it comes. The black flag is going out for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Tough break.
A little too aggressive tonight. Oh boy,
that's gotta hurt.
They have got to be really disheartened. There's Tony Eury Sr. not happy at all. Let's go to Glenn Terry.
Well, Dale Jr. has brought the car in right now, and we'll find out from Tony Eury what the penalty is. Tony a little upset right now, doesn't want to talk. We're hearing it is a one-lap penalty. They have pleaded their case to NASCAR, but to no avail.
In 1998, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had the dominant car of the night in the NASCAR Grand National Series. He was easily the car to beat, up until he intentionally crashed a lapped car trying to get him out of his way to continue on his race. NASCAR immediately handed out the black flag to Earnhardt Jr. and penalized him 1 lap. No matter what he said and pleaded on the radio for, NASCAR stood their ground, and Dale Jr. lost that race because of this accident.
Looking for each other, or is that one guy looking for that other one? Or
Darrell, race drivers have longer memory than elephants.
I don't know. You look out the nose of that thing, you don't have one. Do you remember who did it?
Well, that's true.
I saw a hand coming out the left side window of that 2 car as well.
Yeah. You want by me? You may have to work a little bit.
This is going to get ugly here.
Here we go. And Brad jams on the brakes. Everybody stacks up. Now they're side by side, and it's on, heading for turn 3, and it's off again.
At Martinsville in 2014, Brad Keselowski was extremely furious with Kurt Busch. When he was exiting his pit stall, Busch would hit him into a parked car and damage his race car. Keselowski had one of the fastest cars that afternoon, and unfortunately, he was unable to see the finish. But when he went back out on the racetrack, he tried to do a roadblock on Kurt Busch. The funniest thing is, Kurt Busch actually won on that afternoon.
Big battle off of turn 4 here.
And into the wall goes Bubba Wallace. And he comes back across the track, tags the 5. They're both in the wall. The caution comes out.
Flips the 20 car of Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell hard into the outside wall. Bubba just feels like that the 5 didn't give him much room as he would have liked.
Then they go down the front straightaway, and it just looks like to me Bubba hangs a left to retaliate. And I got a problem with that. You're going as fast as they're going, and you hang a guy in the right rear quarter pound. That is exceptionally dangerous. That's racing right there. Larson's fault for sure, but that right there is not acceptable.
2 of the biggest stars in NASCAR are Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace, and they tangled in 2022 in Las Vegas. Larson would overdrive the corner in turn 3 and 4, slide up the racetrack and put Wallace in the wall. Kyle Larson would then be turned by Bubba Wallace on purpose across the front stretch to make hard contact into the outside wall. Bubba Wallace was extremely upset at the move Larson had pulled and wanted to show him that he was not going to take it. He would walk down to Larson's car and start shoving him after they got out of their cars after the accident. This was the closest Kevin Harvick came to claiming his final victory in his NASCAR Cup Series career. He lost by just that much, but ultimately it did not matter because his second place finish was disqualified. Apparently he had windshield brackets that were not secure and not to NASCAR's liking. Windshield brackets are there for safety reasons, so if a car or an object lands on the windshield, it will not be caved in. When they are not secure, that can cause some serious damage if in an accident. So NASCAR disqualified him. This is probably one of the funniest NASCAR penalties you'll ever see. Josh Williams was told his race was over and he could not continue after not repairing his car properly. Josh Williams was extremely upset and decided he was going to do just as NASCAR said, to park his car. But he parked it right on the front stretch in front of everybody, and it was hilarious. Josh Williams was actually suspended a race after doing this, but it is something that will live on in NASCAR's history books.
24 just moved to 2.
He'll come back and give us a shot, cross us over, and he'll wreck us. Yep.
Trouble on the front straightaway. Kurt Busch turns Jeff Gordon around, and Gordon makes hard contact with the inside retaining wall.
Nothing's more iconic than Jeff Gordon and the two car running into each other on the racetrack. No matter the driver, Rusty Wallace, Brad Keselowski, or Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon was going to be involved in an incident with the two car. It just seemed that it would always happen, and at Martinsville in 2010, Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon tangled, and Jeff Gordon ended up being wrecked by Kurt Busch.
The situation in front of you on the track can change. Michael Annett there slowing down to come to pit road for a pass-through penalty. Oh, contact for the lead. Hamlin into the wall. Oh, and collects another one. That's Junior up in turn 1, I believe. Off turn 4.
You see Harvick trying to get a big run up out the corner, and I believe he just misjudged right there. He thought that Hamlin was going to be a little more speed on the exit of the corner there. He was just going to slide up in behind him at that point in time and just misjudged a little, whether it was the 11 had to be out of the throttle just a little. I'm sure Denny's going to say that he just got turned, that he was wide open.
Well, he did. He did get turned, really. I mean, I know that this wasn't intentional by the way I'm watching it, but
Hamlin has faced all year. Uh-oh.
He might have to replace that.
For sure. The frustrations of Bristol.
This was definitely a frustrating moment for Denny Hamlin as he was racing hard for the lead at Bristol with Kevin Harvick. They would tangle and Hamlin would end up being wrecked and collect Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I understand Hamlin's frustration here. I mean, Kevin Harvick has always raced Hamlin pretty clean. Hamlin and Harvick had great battles over the last couple of years, and these two drivers never really butted heads. But at Bristol, Hamlin let the frustration get to him as he would throw his Hans device back across the racetrack at Harvick.
And potentially he's going to clear him off for turn 4. They're side by side to turn 1.
Taylor Gray back to the race lead. 3 of the last 6 races at Martinsville have had a last lap pass. Sammy Smith is there. Justin Allgaier is there. Will there be contact? There is. There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere. It's going to win.
Oh my goodness.
Martinsville. Do you believe that? With a huge crash at the start-finish line.
Lead here, and then this to come from this far back, though. I mean, this is just, that's too much. No one wants to see that. If you're a young kid watching this, that's too far.
10 leaders sets a new track record. Austin Hill leads only the last lap, but in dramatic fashion, he wins for a second time this season.
Way down to the inside comes Austin Hill, playoff driver who had a bad day, was trying to make something out of it at the end. Took a very optimistic move down into turn number 1, and here you can see gets into the back of Myatt Snider, spinning him. Now, what's gotten everyone's attention is the discussion afterward. The two drivers appear to be having a discussion, and then what happens next, well, we'll let you draw your own conclusion. NASCAR has seen this footage in the last 30 minutes and have told us that they are going to be talking to both teams and drivers about the incident that took place there.
Ooh, he almost got taken there. Mike Wallace moved up on him a little. Oh, Greg Sachs getting tagged. He comes right in front of car number 3. And moving by is car number 4. Ernie Irvan got through it. Hard on the brakes was Dale Earnhardt, who brings out a caution here. What do you think of that one, Bonnet?
I'll tell you, they went up behind him, got into him. They got together, come off turn 4, give him a little shove, turned around right there.
Now, this is an interesting situation. The flag is out, right, for the car that spun, which is Sachs. The leader by 15 seconds was Jarrett, but after a caution, this should bring Earnhardt, who tapped the 68 right up on his rear bumper. Let's see what NASCAR is going to do here. You see first that Ernie Irvan incident as Mike Wallace came up a bit, and here comes Earnhardt. He's been trying for 6 laps to deal with Sachs. Just gets a little piece of the back end. Around comes Sachs, directly down in front of Earnhardt. Whoa, on the bridle there, slows her down, does not make contact, but caution is out. This at lap 328. It happened in lap 327. 1 lap penalty on Earnhardt. Let's go to Randy, who's down there in his pit.
Well, this team is absolutely irate. Earnhardt came over the radio, guys. He said he never touched him. So I don't know what the camera can see from there, but Earnhardt swears he never touched him. Now, we talked a bit about whether or not they can go the distance. Earnhardt's obviously going to lose a lap here. Here goes the caution car. The first one is by him. As far as guys being able to go the distance, the 4 car thinks they can. Now, we got to wait and see if Earnhardt can get back out front here on a restart and catch a caution to be back in contention. But Earnhardt is definitely upset.
And so is Richard Childress.
In 1993, Dale Earnhardt Sr., when leading the race in the Coca-Cola 600, would intentionally spin out a lapped car. Sr. would then be black flagged for rough driving and be held on pit road. At this time in NASCAR, it was pretty rare that you would see NASCAR put the hammer down, but it seemed in the 90s that they were starting to do that. They didn't like intentionally wrecking somebody or aggressive driving. NASCAR would penalize Earnhardt for a single lap, and his team owner Richard Childress was extremely upset. He would plead with NASCAR, but it was to no avail. But it doesn't matter because at the end of the race, Earnhardt was still able to come from one lap down and pick up the victory.
Elliott right on his back bumper, looking to the inside at 10. They make contact. Elliott spins the three into the tires, and Chase Elliott trying to hang on. Across the stripe he'll go. Elliott wins in Canada.
43 off the one, back to his rear bumper as the 48 continues to try to take the lead from the 11. Oh! The 11 around.
The 11 goes around, and the caution will come out. A restart.
Down into turn 3. The 48 gets loose into the corner. You can see the back coming around. He has to chase the car up the track into the left rear corner panel of Denny Hamlin. Denny goes around into the wall. Typical Martinsville, 2 cars racing hard at the end of this race, and the guy on the inside trying his hardest. Overruns the entry of the corner. We see it over and over. This is late in the race where those front brakes gave out. You got a lot of rear brake in the car because the front brakes are giving up time and time again. When you see them running so hard, you know they're pushing really, really hard, and those front brakes are going away, and that entry gets looser as those brakes fade.
And Denny Hamlin doesn't care why. He just knows he got wrecked leading the race. But
in my opinion, 2021 was one of the last great NASCAR seasons that we had. It was extremely underrated, and with the new next-gen car not producing great racing on the short track, it's hurt its product and its rivalries. And one of the biggest ones of 2021 was Denny Hamlin and Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman would get into Denny Hamlin racing hard for the lead. Hamlin, racing for a championship spot, would lose so many positions and almost miss the Final Four. Rightfully so, Hamlin was upset, and when Alex Bowman tried to do his burnout, he would block him and flip him off. Hamlin was extremely upset with Alex Bowman.
Well, he's trying to, Alan, but he says the car is loose in and loose off, and that's been the first time all night that they've really felt like that's been a handling issue that's detrimental to him, and he gets caught in the back end and into the wall.
Johnson in trouble. Montoya also goes around. Caution number 10.
Tomorrow you can start the roll. You can, clear.
Imagine that. Hard came together again. Would be into something here. 11th caution of the race.
I got your number.
He had ways to get to it. He had to work hard to get there. Took some talent. He's a 5-time champion.
Kurt Busch always seemed to have altercations with one driver, it seemed like every year in his early to 10-year NASCAR career. But you know who a driver who didn't run into anybody really on the racetrack was 7-time champion Jimmie Johnson. But these two drivers actually clashed heads a lot in the early 2000s and 2010s. Kurt Busch would intentionally spin out Jimmie Johnson at Richmond, or maybe it was on accident, but I would like to think he probably intentionally done it because these two drivers have raced each other extremely hard in the 2011 season. And shocking everybody, Jimmie Johnson would actually pay Kurt Busch back and wreck him intentionally. This is extremely out of Johnson's character, and it shocked everybody.
Little Debbie lap leaders. Talk about how successful Stewart has been. Car on the wall.
Nemechek.
And Mike Bliss. And the caution is out once again.
Oh,
wow.
Robbie Gordon
with a hard hit. Michael Waltrip we're hearing involved.
And this was on the caution flag, wasn't it?
See, Robbie's got the net down, an indication that he's okay.
Now that car isn't okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing he's not the happiest guy at New Hampshire either. Now down the backstretch.
Like Michael turned the 7 car into the outside wall. may be looking for somebody.
You think? Matt?
Bill, I believe the car he's looking for is the Napa Chevrolet. Now, he said on the radio a number of comments as Michael just went by about the 15. Then he said, NASCAR, I hope you're listening. I will pay Michael Waltrip back.
I think he's going to try to pay him back with his helmet.
I don't know. Robbie really loves his helmets.
Yeah.
Those paint jobs are quite expensive, too, Wally.
They are, Matt. You're right. That's why you have second thoughts. Okay, here we go.
Car with the helmet off. Record just got there now.
Let's see the accuracy.
And it's a shot.
Oh!
Well, I guess you don't like the helmets that bad.
He put his helmet at my car. I told you that. What's going on? Well, that's just rude. It was his fault.
Robbie used those same words in this race 1 year ago.
And, you know, I think that there's a difference of opinion there. Michael said it was Robbie's fault, and I'm sure that Robbie
doesn't see it that way.
Doesn't see it that way. That's right.
Okay. Here's today's helmet tossing event.
Wow, that was pretty gutsy. It's like a bullfighter.
Tony about to run over the helmet.
Sure he doesn't.
Boy, that trailer is going to be busy after the race today.
Imagine a driver who's got a really, really good car today, riding around, watching all this happen around him. That would be Tony Stewart. He just called in.
Notice, Bill, all those restarts.
I like Yaxias. The caution was out, and he wrecked me. And he's a piece of shit.
And we apologize for that language.
Robbie Gordon always reminded me of a different version of Tony Stewart. It seemed like they had similar backgrounds in racing and they could wheel any race car in any series. But in NASCAR, Robbie Gordon didn't have the same success as Tony Stewart. He frankly just didn't win as much or was consistent. But he would run into altercations with drivers so often and it became a problem with the fan base. They didn't like Robbie Gordon. And in 2005, Michael Waltrip would accidentally spin Robbie Gordon out under caution. In Robbie's defense, he was probably in the right here. He deserved to be mad. And Michael Waltrip just didn't seem to care about what he did. So Robbie Gordon got out of his car and threw his helmet right at Michael Waltrip's door. This would insinuate a NASCAR penalty for Gordon. He was fined and docked points. And especially in his post-race interview when he cussed out Michael Waltrip. This just shows that Robbie Gordon was a hot-headed driver back in the day. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you've liked this video, I'm pretty sure these videos will catch your eye also.